Seattle's run game racked up 177 rushing yards versus the Detroit Lions. How do you like their chances of trying to do that again with Rawls against the Falcons?
Well, if I look at Seattle's history, they haven't been consistent at this at all, Alexa. And really, this has been the big sore spot for the Seattle team. And the biggest difference between this year's team and the past 3 or 4 years for the Seahawks, they'd always ranked in the top 4 in rushing in those past 4 years. They were 25th this year. But the way Thomas Rawls looked last week was great. The good news for Seattle is that statistically, Atlanta looks an awful lot like Detroit. They're ranked about the same in rush defense, kind of middle of the pack in the NFL during the regular season. Atlanta's not great in short yardage situations, either when opponents go for it on 4th down or in 3rd and short situations. I think those things bode pretty well. But the question in my mind, it's not really so much about Atlanta's defense as it is Seattle's got a really young offensive line, and they've had trouble doing anything consistently. Now, maybe they are going to be able to replicate last week's game, but there's nothing we've seen to this point that would make you say, okay, they're good to go.
By the way, you mentioned 4th downs for Atlanta. Did I see a stat where the Seahawks, more teams have gone up against them on 4th down than just about any team in the NFL? And why is that? You would think against the Seahawks defense, testing Michael Bennett and company would not be wise to do even on 4th and short.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, and that's right, Michael. 20 times opponents went for it on 4th down, and the Seahawks stopped them on 14 times of that. That's the most 4th down stops of any team in the regular season. And then Detroit did it once last week, although that was a situation. Detroit was kind of in this no man's land. They were at the 38, too long really for a field goal that night. But that idea, I think a lot of it relates to Seattle's offense. And I think opponents don't fear that offense. And there's reason not to. I mean, there are 3 different games this year where they didn't score a single touchdown. And I think that lack of fear over Seattle's offense makes teams a little more willing to go for it on 4th down, even though it's going up against that Seahawks defense.